welcome back to Stratagem. So, I want to cover an absolute blockbuster, an absolute barnstormer of fight. Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington. It's taking place in the Sheffield Arena for the WBA Featherweight title. It's an all-British showdown. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and I'm really looking forward to it. So there's going to be a lot of football fans there that night. Nottingham Forest fans, Leeds fans, all just having one tasty brawl. It's probably going to be about 60 fights go on that night, including the main event and the undercard. Leigh Wood currently has a record of 27 wins with 3 defeats. 16 wins coming by way of knockout, and he has 2 knockout defeats to his name, whereas Josh Warrington has 31 wins, 2 losses, 8 wins by knockout and 1 loss. I mean, they both had quite an extensive career. The fight will be featured on DAZN. It'll start roughly about 7 o'clock with the undercard, with the main event at 10, I believe. So yeah, we're going to have the battle of the chins and the battle of the heads underway. Let's see who prospers. If you got that last bit, I rate you. I do rate you. The reason why I say it's the battle of the chins is I do think that both of them have shown vulnerabilities as of recent years. Obviously, we've had Leigh Wood get put down on a canvas numerous times, and we've also had Josh Warrington taken out, actually, by Mauricio Lara, and he's well known for his toughness, his granite chin. So I think maybe we might have that sort of in contention here, and I definitely think that's something that makes this fight even more interesting. Both fighters have my absolute respect. They both have hearts of lions. They both just have grit in them. They just love having a scrap. It's truly great to see. Leigh Wood, I would probably just say, is one of the most improved fighters in Britain right now, especially under the tutelage of Ben Davidson. He's gone up exceptionally. He's gone up so many levels since he's been with Ben Davidson, and his boxing skills have just developed incredibly. Sometimes that's all you need is a good trainer on your side, the right fit for you. It's like having a lovely fitting shoe on your foot. It's lovely to see their relationship obviously develop, and him develop as well along with that. It just helps with the confidence of a fighter. Yeah, I've just seen exponential growth since he's been with Davidson. Whereas Josh Warrington has always been an absolute warrior, a proper tough bastard. Man has had a granite chin ever since I've started watching him. He always brings it. He always comes forward. He always has an absolute war with anybody he gets in the ring with, and slings those bombs. Although, they don't knock anybody out, he does bring the heat. However, I do think in most recent years that Warrington has declined. He's just shown vulnerabilities in his most recent fights. For instance, the fights he's had with Lara, the one he had with Lopez recently. He just seems to have slowed down significantly, and that is something that is imperative for his style. He comes forward with that high guard, rushes in, slings those fast bombs, but with that you need speed. In addition to that, I do think potentially that once loved granite chin that allowed him to produce absolute war may have faded a little bit. I'm not saying that Wood has an extravagant chin, because he doesn't. He nearly gets put down in every fight, well, especially up at this level he does. So that little joke I made about battle of the chins, we shall see how this fight pans out. There could be a few knockdowns here and there, who knows. Wood has definitely had the better resume in the last few years with, his wins against Kanzu, Conlon, and most recently Lara, which he had to get revenge against. Whereas Josh Warrington, he has had 2 defeats in his last 6 fights. You can add that 1 draw as well. that he had against Lara. You know, he does have a big problem with putting that head in, and he did do that against Lopez too. The fight could potentially be stopped due to a head clash again. We'll find out. But yeah, battle of the heads or battle of the chins. Warrington overall though does have the better resume. He has the better names. He's got Frampton on there. He's got Lee Selby. And let's just see if he can come back, prove all the doubters wrong, and become 3-time world featherweight champion. As I said previously, Wood has improved significantly. One thing that Wood does very, very well is use his jab to both head and body. He also keeps that left hand always pouring in the opponent's face, always giving the opponent something to think about, which allows him to get those level changes, those body shots, snapping those in. With that constant repetitiveness, you know, if he keeps on going to the body, that body's then going to get protected. He can bring something up to the head, and vice versa. He's very good at just changing the levels, always keeping the opponent thinking. His counter right is quick and powerful, as well as his left hook. What he does super well is when he's often quite a back foot fighter, and he uses his feet especially well. But when the fighter comes in, he counters him with the right or shoots them with the left hook. His ability to read opponents as well is super good. He always seems to know when his opponent initiates an attack, manages to get out of range, circles round, has a few, you know, angle changes, and gets back to center ring so he can get back on that jab, shoot those right hands down the pipe, and you know, when they come in closer, boom, left hook. I think in this fight, Wood will need to utilize his feet a lot and a lot of different angle changes, because you don't want to get stuck in and tied down with someone like Warrington. I've noticed in a lot of fights, Warrington always is on people's chests. If you manage to obviously move about, get him to come forward a lot of the time, or even, you know, for instance, if someone's able to push him back, then fine. He's probably not a great back foot fighter, but in this circumstance, I think Wood's going to have to utilize his feet, be quick, change angles, and counter him on the way in. Overall, Wood is a very good boxer fundamentally. He doesn't do anything spectacularly. All the different attributes he has makes him a great boxer. What he does sometimes though is he does overcommit, leaving his chin pretty much dangling in the air. We've seen this in fights with Mauricio Lara and Michael Conlan, and when he overcommits, he then gets countered. He sometimes has a bit of a habit of bringing his gloves down from his chin when he's resetting or initiating attack. This sometimes then obviously leads him to get countered or obviously hit. So yeah, I mean, he's going to have to watch out for that with someone as speedy and quick as Warrington, who's always on your chest, bearing in mind. Problem is, Wood just doesn't reset quick enough sometimes. I do find he is a bit slow and clunky, and that often is the reason why he does get caught. What I've also noticed as well is he keeps this right hand fixed to his face. However, this left hand dangles, you know, near his chin and below, which often makes him quite susceptible to a right hand. I've seen that a few times with the fights he's had with Lara. It happened to him a good few times in the Conlan fight. He just has a bit of a habit with that. I think he is going to have to tuck up a lot against Warrington, especially with all the hooks that Warrington slings from pretty much all angles, to be honest. That's definitely something he's going to have to be wary about, and he's going to have to be defensively sound. So moving on to the fighting pride of Leeds, the absolute warrior. The man is just super quick. He comes in, he marches forward, he just doesn't let his foot off the gas. He just applies pressure, doesn't let you breathe, and bullies you. Warrington is great at closing the distance. He comes in with that short little snappy jab. Sometimes he shoots out to close the distance, brings in that high guard, and as he brings in that high guard, he just rushes towards you. slinging hooks over the top to head and body. Yeah, it's impressive stuff. Warrington is super strong. He pushes most of his opponents back that he's fought, and that's the reason why he's been so successful. He's tough as nails. Obviously, he brings that high guard constantly. He takes some to give some. His granite chin definitely helps to apply that pressure and pretty much go toe-to-toe for people. Along with this, though, he just outworks people. As I said previously, just doesn't let people breathe. For a lot of people, that causes issues. So, I mean, stamina, you need stamina in boxing in order to go for the full 12 rounds. But when you've got somebody on your chest, pushing you back, pulling you about, putting their head in and roughing you up, slinging shots constantly, head and body, it's difficult to breathe. You're going to feel like you're underwater, especially with this man. His hook game is definitely the better out of the two. He's always slinging shots to the body, making the opponent just zapped of all energy, gets them to bring their guard down, starts slinging them over the top as well, and pretty much gets most of his opponents stuck in the mud. With his strengths, though, comes his biggest demise. His boxing ability overall isn't the best. He isn't someone that can obviously go on the back foot, have a jabbing contest, left, right, counter, etc. He just knows one thing, and that is to come forward and close the distance, throw you against the ropes, pin you anywhere. He does rely heavily on his toughness, and as I said previously, he takes some to give some. As he comes in sometimes rushing in with that high guard, he is susceptible to hooks to the head. I've seen it countless times with him. He often gets caught as soon as he initiates. He manages obviously to take the shot, but then obviously gives three back. So I mean, he does return and give out what he expects. But yeah, if you've got a powerful puncher on the opposite side, it's going to be a hard night for you, and you could potentially get knocked out. One thing I also noticed as well, he wings punches a lot, which leaves him incredibly open. His footwork as well is quite slow. When he does obviously march into people, he does speed it up a little bit, obviously, to get on their chest. But overall, his footwork's quite slow. And I've noticed from time to time what he does is he does walk in straight lines towards his opponents and sometimes backwards, and isn't great at adjusting to different angles. So Wood, with quite decent footwork, can definitely use that to his advantage. To finish off, though, I do think that this fight is going to be a blockbuster. It's going to be absolutely brutal and an absolute war. A possible fight of the year contender. Warrington always comes to fight, always wants war, whereas Wood, he's always in fun, entertaining scraps where you often, let's be honest, see him on his backside and he has to come back from all odds. I think the key in this fight, to be honest, is the footwork and angle changing, and obviously that is on Wood's side. Wood needs to obviously keep that long lengthy jab out on Warrington, angle change, use his quick footwork and counter him as he obviously marches forward and comes in. Warrington just needs to do what he normally does, with just a few added adjustments. Maybe add another jab on, triple the jab, just to make sure he gets on in the inside. He needs to brawl him, he needs to bully him, and he needs to get him up against the ropes, just to make sure he's got him there right for the taking. I think for Warrington, it all depends what he's got left. It's whether if he's got the momentum and the stamina to keep up that style he has. His last standout win was against Frampton, and since then he has had a bit of a lackluster career, bit of an up and down one. His best win since 2021 was Kiko Martinez, and Martinez, let's be honest, is a bit past it now. Again, he comes for war each and every time, and he's an incredible fighter and has had an incredible career. I'm not disrespecting the man, but yeah, Warrington hasn't really got the sort of momentum on his side. I think Wood is just far too clever for him to get caught in a dogfight. I think he's going to keep it long, keep him on the end of the jab and counter him. He just needs to dance around that ring all night. It is incredibly hard to get away from Warrington. The man's relentless. He's always getting his head on people's chests and slinging those shots. So Wood is definitely going to have to be on some form to keep him away and do the job. Based on current form though, I think I'm going to go with Wood. They both do have vulnerabilities. They've both shown and have showcased that they can go down. But who would I put my money on? I think I'm going to go with Wood. I think Wood is the more intelligent boxer. He has raw power. He's great with his counters. He's improved under Ben Davidson, and he's just had better momentum. He's also beat the guy that beat Warrington, you know, so he's got that over him too. Bit of mind games there can be played. I think I'm going to go with Wood, majority decision. I do think it's going to go to full 12 rounds. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Thank you. Bash. Bash, bash, bash.